What's going on out there, everybody? The Black Up Playing. Doing this video today, uh, for those of you who may not have heard what's recently been going on, following Michelle Obama's comments that she made during her speech at the DNC, where she and this isn't, I mean, this isn't a video made to endorse Democrats or Republicans, or to really just get into politics or anything at all like that. That's not the focus of this video. But basically, there were some comments that she made about slaves building the White House. She made the comment, and in order to shed positive light on, how far we've come in America today, basically by saying that, today I wake up every morning in a house that was built by slaves, and I watch my daughters, two beautiful and intelligent black young women, playing with her dog, with their dog on the front lawn. Okay, so she was just basically going, talking about how, how we've came from slavery to having a first black family in the black house, and endorsing a woman president who's very likely to become the next president of the United States. All right, so enough on that. But the main focus of this video really is to get into. I've seen a lot of responses. All right, come following that comment, and the one that I really want to focus on is one that's really been in the light, and that's what Bill O'Reilly said. All right, now a lot of people pretty much kind of publicly bashed Michelle Obama, that section of her speech. What Bill O'Reilly did was slightly different. He appeared to seem as if he was with Michelle Obama and what she said, but he kind of underhandedly defends or minimizes the contribution and of the slaves, and makes it look like it was like they were working a 9 to 5 shift or something like that. So this is what he goes on to say. Well, basically, like I said, he admitted that the comment was meant to be positive and stated that Michelle Obama was essentially correct in her statement. But he also adds that free blacks and whites also helped to build the White House. All right. He even goes on to say that at the time it was not called the White House, but it was called the Executive Mansion. Okay, so he says that slaves did participate in the construction of the White House. Records show about 400 payments made to slave masters between 1795 to 1801. All right, and then he says that he also says slaves that worked there were well fed and had decent lodgings provided by the government, which stopped hiring slaves in 1802. All right, now this is the issues that I have with what he said, and note, okay, this is the media. All right, we already know about the image that they portray of blacks in America, and how the vast majority of media stations out there are owned, by very few corporations at the top. Okay, and they project this image and this stereotype, and it feeds into the minds of whites, it feeds into the minds of blacks, it feeds into the minds of the entire country. It gives them a false sense of your average black man, black woman, black person in America in general. And then on top of that, it often diminishes the harshness and the foul treatment that blacks and natives have had to endure in this country. Okay, so and the verbiage is very important. All right, the way that he uses his words are very important, and it's tactical. Number one, I mean, if you're going to go on to say that she was essentially correct, all right, that's one thing. So it would seem as if, okay, Bill O'Reilly's riding with Michelle Obama on this. All right, but like I said, he goes on to say that the slaves did participate in the construction of the White House. Now, just by saying participate, you immediately diminish what their actual contribution was. All right, to say participate means that there was some willingness on their part. Like they filled out an application or something like that, or they took on a contract to work at the White House. All right, now even though he says that Records show about 400 payments were made to the slave masters, not the slaves themselves. He goes on to say that it was called the executive mansion. What would be your point in having to go on to say that it was called the executive mansion? Because we know that it's called the White House, which means house for whites, basically. All right, so to say that it was called the executive mansion back then, that has nothing whatsoever to do with what was said by Michelle Obama. And then he goes even further, and this is easily the worst part of his statement, that the slaves who worked there were well fed and had decent lodgings provided by the government. Dude, what do you mean? What do you mean well fed and had decent lodgings provided? But they were slaves. You understand what I'm saying? They're slaves. First of all, true documentation shows that they do not know the quality of the food that the slaves were given anyway, which was probably scraps. All right, and then he even went in an attempt to defend his comments to say that that the slaves were well fed and had decent lodgings in order to for them to remain strong during the construction of the White House, which has absolutely nothing to do with actually caring about the true slaves' well-being. It's just basically using them like a horse or something like that, and just making sure that they're strong enough to finish the job. All right, but the fact that you have to come in and feel that you have to say that they were well fed and had decent lodgings, as if we're not talking about people who were constantly whipped, constantly raped, constantly murdered and abused and just psychologically damaged in all types of ways for hundreds of years, and then also making it seem as if they had a choice and whether they wanted to participate in building the White House or not. They didn't have a choice. They were slaves. These are things that I shouldn't even have to say. But this is just some of the tactics that this media, our media, and our country uses to really just make it seem as if slavery wasn't the most horrible thing in our nation's history. Okay. I mean, it's almost like saying like they put the slaves in affordable housing or something like that, and provided them with job opportunities. That's what it sounds like. That's what he's trying to say in some sense, and that's truly what's wrong with this country. And that takes me back into why I say that why are we trying to make our case against people who either are in the strongest form of denial that I've ever come across, or who are just outrightly, just lying and who really don't care, just want to perpetuate a certain message to the masses out there. And this is why, I didn't catch this when it was live because I literally try not to look at, mainstream news because I know that, the poisons that they try to, program into our brains and things like this. But this is why we need to realize as a nation of people that we can only truly depend on ourselves. All right. We cannot go to the person who has oppressed us, or to the people who have oppressed us, to that form of power, all right, and white supremacy, and ask them for help, or ask them for acknowledgement, or ask them for a handout, or just get them to admit any type of wrongdoings, or just to help us propel them at all. Okay, this is white supremacy at work here. This is the systematic racism that you see. All right, you can't just be outright with it no more. You can't just go around putting dogs and water hoses and lynchings and calling black people niggas like that anymore. You have to do it in a way where it hits the subconscious. All right, and this is what they're doing. And then you have all types of your average house white household. They may hear this information who already can't relate to what black people have been through, and then not only that they already can't relate to it, but it will also cause them to not sympathize with it as much, and have us see that we're our own problem, and that we're the only ones that are holding us back, not understanding that our psyches have been psychologically damaged by this very establishment. But like I say, man, that here in this information age and this time, the information age is fair to all. Due to the information age, we now have access to information that we did not have access to previously. And I truly feel, well, I mean, I know that black people in America are pretty much what's considered a baby race. All right, every other race that's ever came over here. Okay, listen. There's only so much that white supremacy could do to them to hold them back because they had a country back home that would support them. Okay, well we were the only ones who were stripped of that. We were the only ones who did not come over here willingly. We were the only ones whose our native tongue, our native language and customs and all of our traditions were broken. All right, so we don't know where we come from. We were separated from our families. We don't know our native languages, and we don't know, what type of religions or just what type of, customs that we had in general. Okay, this was literally taken away from us, and then not to mention what Willie Lynch did psychologically, basically, literally treating black people in this country like horses, like you would treat an animal. Okay, basically making the males females and the females males. If you're not familiar with Willie Lynch, then you might want to look that up. I may do a video on that. I'm pretty sure I probably will in the future. But this just goes to show you, this truly goes to show you why we need to be doing what every other culture in this country is doing. All right, we need to do for ourselves. The one reason why our voices aren't being heard is because, number one, pretty much all those other races out there, they know how to pull together, get some money together and fund a certain politician, so that their agendas and that their needs can be met. All right, they know how to help out, these politicians' campaigns and tell them, look, this is what we want you to do for us. This is what we want you to say for us or whatnot. Okay, black people don't do that. All we know how to do is get out there and march, and then we don't even necessarily know what we're marching for. I know that we know that we don't want violence and bloodshed, and police brutality and things such as that. But what is the end goal? Can we specifically outline what it is that we want? I'm telling you, man, a lot of people can't tell you what it is that they want when it comes to stuff like that. A lot of people can't tell you, and our greatest leaders that we have had in the past, they've all been taken out of the game. They either had their reputations tarnished or they were just outright murdered. All right, so we need to see what we can do as a whole, and not put people up on a pedestal and expect them to do it all for us. We can't expect that. Like I was on my Facebook earlier and someone posted a video where they posted a meme of Michael Jordan saying, Michael Jordan is worth $1.14 billion and he only donated 2 million, to those causes, that he just recently donated them to, and they say that that's the equivalent of someone with $100 donating 17 cents. All right, and I'm hip to Michael Jordan being silent on issues when it comes to Black lives. I understand that he hasn't said much of anything at all, even when people were being killed in the streets over a pair of his shoes. But the part that really got me is to have the audacity to post something like that when what have we done? What black person do you know? And there are plenty of us who have $100 and more to even donate 17 cents. And I'm not saying this to down our people, but why down him or expect more of him than you expect of yourself? Because for one, I'm pretty sure that Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, all these other uber rich black stars know that as soon as they make the decision to do something for their people, they paint an extremely large bullseye on their back. That's a disadvantage that they have that we don't have. And I'm not necessarily saying this to defend any of those people, but I'm just saying this to say, all right, it's not this person's job or responsibility to do something, and and it's just solely for them and not for you or not for us. We have to become conscious of what it is that we can do and what we must do. All right, and one of the reasons why black celebrities aren't sticking their necks out for us because we won't stick our necks out for them. So what can we truly expect? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if something were to come out, if Michael Jordan decides that he wants to get very vocal about this whole thing, and next thing you know, he catches a rape charge or something like that, because this is what happens. This is what happens to our people when they realize that we have a voice out there that can affect the minds across this entire country. They have to tarnish that reputation, or they have to get rid of that individual. But they cannot get rid of all of us. They can't get rid of everybody. So, I mean, it's just as simple as that, man. We have to come together as a whole and not bash. The last thing we need is for us to be bashing each other right now and pulling us down. We need to come together and support, because we have a very strong disadvantage and an enemy out there that has the control of pretty much what's being said and what's being shown on television, whether that's in the form of just media or entertainment and all of that. So, I mean, this is the time, and I truly do believe that we're going to see a big difference. I truly do believe that this is going to be, a movement that's going to show a lot of progression in our nation. But we need people to step out there to the forefront. I'm talking about the average man and woman, the average black household. We need them to all come together. We need us to all come together, and this is how we do it. Okay, I mean, once you know what there is to be done, and you don't do it, you officially become a part of the problem. We cannot depend on anybody else to bail us out. No, we did not put ourselves in this mess, but we are strong enough to get ourselves out of this mess. And like I said in the video I posted before, I know that this reality is a fear in the mind of white supremacists because of that. If it wasn't a fear, if they truly didn't believe that there was nothing that we can do to get ourselves out of this position of being bullied and picked on, then they wouldn't target us so heavily. They wouldn't try to silence us so heavily. They wouldn't go as far as taking people out who have a voice, who can say something to open the ears of the general public and wake the minds up. So that's just something that we need to think about whenever we come to 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 have this this certain self-hatred that we tend to have for ourselves. You're doing exactly what it is that they want you to do. All right, these are the messages that they've been putting into your brain, indoctrinating you with ever since you were a child, since you were in school, what you're being taught in school, what you've seen on the television. Okay, how you've seen our stereotypes play across in movies. But like I said, I truly feel that a lot of us are waking up, and and with the recent tragedies that have been taking place, there's a certain fire that's being burnt inside of us that you haven't seen, and a lot of us, um, here lately when things seemed to be have getting better, when it seemed like we were making strides, just because we had a black man in the White House, when that was just a safe face. That was really, you can't, that one man's position does not reflect what we are all going through as a whole. So I just really hope that we don't let this flame burn out, and that we continue to move and progress until real change has been made. And I believe that it can happen. I believe it can happen very quickly, and that we can definitely see it within this lifetime, if not within the next few years. So this is the Black Up Plan. This is just some thoughts that I had on my mind that I wanted to share with you guys.